All right, great. Well, I'm going to get into it. We've got a really exciting presentation lined up. I am going to share my screen. All right, so I am going to go ahead and just launch in here. So everybody, welcome so much to AI for Brands and Businesses. Today, I've decided for the next few weeks to really thematically, the last few weeks, if you've attended, they've been pretty general. And for the next 3 weeks, so every Wednesday through the end of the year, I'm going to be focusing on a particular aspect of business. So this week's going to be, well, I'm going to jump into some fun updates too. We got some fun news from the week, as well as a couple of cool things that I was going to show you. And then we're going to jump into how we can use ChatGPT for market research and analysis for your business and really come up with some cool stuff like competitor analysis and even, SWOT analysis and things like that for your business, which is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So on that note, I thought it would be good to at least say, who am I? My name is Douglas. For a long time, and some of you might know me from my event series in Los Angeles, I ran something called Mindshare LA, big events, tons of speakers, thousands of attendees over the course of 200 plus events or maybe 8 years. I see Andrew's on here. He ran a bunch of them with me and a lot of fun. Nowadays we do smaller dinner party type things because my energy in my 40s is somewhat diminished. And so Rogue Media was what I launched during COVID, which is a full digital marketing company. And so everything from logo to launch and beyond. And then I was starting to look into AI and ended up writing my second book, which is under my alter ego, Dougie Lux, which I'll talk more about in a second, is Free to Roam. It's a digital nomad's guide for remote workers. And finally, if you don't know me from back in the day, just for fun, I thought I'd throw this in. I used to love doing charity stunts in tuxedos. So, and I'm actually going to be launching a podcast where we wear tuxedos too, but it's going to be for AI. We're called the Intelligence, like the Intelligentleman. But more on that to come. But we traveled around the world, raised thousands of dollars for donations for charity, and gave it all to the organizations and local communities that we came into contact along the way. So just to touch on that book, this was my introduction to AI. Back in like the early summer or late spring, I found out how to really collaborate with AI to weave personal stories into a sort of structure that it helps build multiple chapters, multiple sections, action steps. It was really the launch of my love of AI. The creative opportunity that it offered in terms of the back and forth was so cool. Within 30 days, I had this on Amazon. I got great reviews. I even cloned my voice with AI and it read the audiobook, which was awesome, which is now on Audible. So just to give a little bit of background where my AI started. So I did the intros. I'm going to share a few fun news things that came out. The introduction to custom GPTs, which is what I'm going to be sharing with a lot of today. And if you don't know what that is, I'm going to describe what it is, but it's a new feature from the last few weeks from OpenAI and ChatGPT. We're going to explore brand bots for your business, how it can really streamline things. And obviously, it wouldn't be a free webinar if there wasn't a fun sales pitch at the end. So you can stick around for that or take off. So anyways, let's go. We got a whole bunch to cover. We're going to try to cover all that in 1 hour. And so I'm going to jump right into my first piece of news. So I don't know if you know, but basically recently they've used machine learning tools to be able to parse through the complex array of data collected from whales, highlighting the potential for AI to aid in scientific research and discovery. Andrew, I know you're going to like this one. Recognizing patterns and fragments of whale language can provide insight into their lives, families, intentions, and problems, which is totally crazy. So I just wanted to start it with a bang. This is AI is going to profoundly shape our lives. Maybe it'll even profoundly shape whales' lives. So I thought that would be a fun thing to share. Next, because this is a business meeting, I would like to say that we thought that maybe OpenAI was going to be replaced with the first CEO AI bot, but it turns out this company in, I believe it's Poland, is the first AI intelligence CEO to be running a company. So we're going to see how that goes. Her name's Mika, and she'll oversee Art House Spirits DAO. So check that out. Do the research if you want to learn more about Mika and the progress she's making as CEO. Moving on. If you like sports, I saw this video. Can you imagine when sports are becoming more immersive like this? This is an example of augmented reality, which is different from virtual reality, which aims to replace your entire environment. Augmented reality layers the actual scene or the objects on top of your real world. So it's like a pass-through technology, and that's what Facebook's new headset, as well as Apple's new headset, is going to really be pioneering. Every time this chat message is up. Okay, another example of something that's getting very little press right now, but it's massive, and that is called Gaussian splat effects for basically it's a video-based AI tool. This is currently real time using this fellow's face to create alternative 3D avatars. So you can imagine the profound, interesting benefits of this. I mean, I'm not going to get into where this could go. Scary, fun, useful, but I thought it would be really just mind-blowing to share. Great. So next, and we got just a couple more of these. This was an example recently. So this was a couple of weeks ago, actually. And it was this new technology that allows you to take a static image, add a skeleton, a motion capture skeleton, which you don't even need fancy motion capture rigs for anymore, and then animate an image, which was just completely crazy to me when I saw it. Well, in the fast pace of AI, a week later, there's even the next level. And what is it? It's taking the same image, taking the skeleton, and now with a series of prompts, creating a combo of the face, the skeleton, and a totally fictitious environment and fictitious outfits. So, I mean, going from this a week before to this a week later, it's just things are moving so fast, right? Okay, so next up on the roster, I thought I would share this fun thing. And now, I don't know if you've seen it, but there's these really amazing image upscalers that can take old images and make them kind of a lot more detailed. So the first one I thought I would test it out is on my very geeky self from 20 years ago. Here he is, Douglas, just about to go to college with his new laptop and his brand new first digital camera ever. So I'm like, well, let's see how this works. Well, my first test, I'm sorry to say, was just a complete disaster. It turned me into, I don't even know who it turned me into, but that is definitely not me. It was somewhat like concerning, and I was a little bit less than excited. So it shows just also how creative this upscaler can go. I tried it with a few other things. I wasn't really like, you can see in the wings, it made some interesting details. Didn't do too much here. Where it really shined was this dragon. Now, if we come down to like something like the leg right here, we can see the amount of detail this is adding to things is just amazing. Look at the head as I scroll past the head, and the sort of scales get completely more detailed. It's completely amazing. So this is an example of actually where it's useful. And so, like there are the legs. Sometimes it does creepy things too, like this guy over here gives him a total face. So that is kind of a funny thing, because obviously the internet jumped all over this and they started playing around. And so the first thing, or something that people discovered, was it could take these old video games, this is called Magnific, this tool, and completely transform them into modern versions of themselves, which this is obviously way better than my 20-year-old photo. This is really cool to see what it's doing. And in a final fanboy moment, I think that this is an amazing use of it. Look at this. Lara Croft, we all remember her from Tomb Raider, and it completely turns her into a realistic version. I mean, it's so fun that they're doing this with all sorts of things. It's really a magical tool. So check it out if you want to try it. Last of a piece of news that I thought it'd be fun to share is Grok. If you don't know, Grok is the new Elon Musk-backed AI tool as a way to compete with X. I think it's so smart, everything. It's much more open source. It sources all of Twitter. Well, here I thought, well, maybe it is smarter. What's 4 plus 5? Well, 4 plus 5, it answers, is 9, a rather simple calculation, even for a human. And then the guy says, no, my wife says it's 12. And it says, the complexities of human relationships. In that case, the answer is most definitely 12. Remember, happy wife, happy life. So I thought, well, you know what? Maybe it is going to actually be the smarter of all the bots if it's that smart. Okay, great. So now we're going to get into the meat of the presentation. And what we're going to talk about first is, what are custom GPTs? Now, if you can imagine, ChatGPT is trained on infinite amount of information up till about, I don't know, sometime earlier this year. And every learning model gets more up to date. Now, in some ways, it doesn't matter as much because ChatGPT is integrated with Bing, so it can find real world stuff, which we'll probably get into in a little bit. But the big announcement from a few weeks ago that a lot of people don't understand is something called custom GPTs. And you'll see, if you don't have the paid version, or if you haven't tried this yet, you'll see that you haven't got anything on the left here. These are all ones that I've created. And what they are, they're like little apps that sit on top of the ChatGPT full model, almost like it's the operating system. So if you could think about it, it's almost like that's the Mac OS. And these are apps that sit on top that use all the technology of this ChatGPT. But then you can create custom instructions. It's really easy to do. You can literally do it by typing in what you want the bot to do. This was my first experiment. It was just a really friendly bot that could advise you if you were feeling upset about something, but it could also talk about real world issues and give examples of where things are actually working. So solutions based. And it was a sort of response to all the people worried about technology. I wanted to show how technology can also be really great. So yeah, it's got the, and it even creates a little fun graphic. So in Dougie Luxbot, this was a clone of my author alter ego. And I uploaded, this was the next level of complexity. I uploaded my manuscripts, and you could ask him any questions from the books, and you could ask him for quotes. You could ask him about himself or about his, values, about his writing style, as well as kind of get tips on all the things that he mentions in his books. So that was really cool. And I started playing with a whole bunch of other ones, which are, I'm going to actually be talking a lot about my brand bot today. It's a really useful thing that I'm using for some of the today's sort of instructions. So also, just to show you how many things are being built on this is allgpts.co, and they currently have, there's more than 30,000 GPTs out there. And this is sort of a filter. This filters some of the best, and this already has 1,230. So if you have the paid version, you can hop over here and see what kind of bots are built in here. They're also playing with a couple of other platforms and seeing, it's going to be interesting to see which is the best results. So that's that. Now, what I'm going to talk about next is what I built. I made a custom. So this was something that's a really fun one to play with. I'm not going to get into this because we've got limited time. And I didn't make this. This fellow, AI Sai Rahul, made this. And by the way, this is attempting to be the beginnings of an app store for ChatGPT. And eventually, ChatGPT is going to start sharing revenue with the best performing GPTs, custom GPTs. And, there may even be an opportunity in the future for premium ones that you can buy, just like the App Store. I'm not going to get into this. You have the paid version. You can look for a custom GPT, logo GPT, or go on here. I think it's the first one because it's so popular. It's so fun to create logos in here. What I'm going to be sharing today is the Project Fresh brand bot. We're going to be using this for some of the research. So right off the bat, what can Project Fresh do, and how can it, or the brand bot do, and how does it do it? Now, just like some of the other tools that I was showing how I built, this has a series of instructions as a custom GPT, and it also has all of my brand information uploaded into it. Everything from my brand identity, that's the tone that I use, that's the target audience, their problems and struggles, the solutions that I offer, why I'm equipped to deliver those solutions. So all the typical things related to that. It has all of my extended brand stuff that you might find on my website about the company, all my services and offerings, any courses that I have, literally all the stuff, as well as a bunch of other files that I put together that I've created for this framework, including custom prompts and all sorts of things. So when I've created that, it now sits there just like a fresh version of ChatGPT. I go in here, you could do all of this in ChatGPT. It'd be really complicated to do, but every time you chat with a new chat, you kind of got to train it. So what's nice about this brand bot is as soon as I start a new chat, it already knows all of that stuff already. So I can literally right off the bat say, let's put this up here. I can right off the bat say, just to make sure, who's my target audience. Okay, and so this is it's gonna look into its resources, and it, generally takes a little bit of time, and it gets quicker at doing this. I think it indexes it. So this is gonna already know who my target audience is. So anytime I talk in the future about my target audience, this is an example. It knows it, right? Which is really cool. Like I said, you could train a chat. You could put this in a regular chat GPT and then use it as an example, but it's already in here for me. So I can also say, what are my current offerings, just to know what I've got. And so reason for this is we're going to get into some cool stuff where we might even be able to explore offerings a little later. So again, it's going to search in its knowledge anywhere that I've outlined what my offerings are, and it's going to summarize them for me. So I offer consulting calls on a variety of topics. I offer a Thinker to Thought Leader program where I help people design courses, AI for Entrepreneurs and Thought Leader course. This is for designing content for all your various platforms. Coaches and course instructors, it's for actually pre-validating courses before you actually do all the work to make the course. The nonfiction writers, it's like the book that I wrote. I teach people how to do that. An AI for Brands and Business course, which I'll tell you more about later. And then all these custom AI tools that I've been working on, which is really fun. So that's all my offerings. It even kind of has like, what is my brand tone and writing style? And so it also will have that. And so anything that the bot produces, the brand bot, should be in my tone, which is great. So as I'm producing content, my writing style as represented by me, who it knows everything about me and my background too, so it can weave that in accordingly. So it's, the style is tailored to effectively engage my target audience, approachable, educational, practical, inspiring, etc. Right? Okay, so right off the bat, I can also say every time I go to a new chat, I can say there's these starter things. And so these are conversation starters that I can also program, which is great because sometimes you forget what you can do. So I can say, what sort of tasks can you help me with? And now what it's going to do is it's going to look into all the documentation I've given it, as well as just knowing what ChatGPT can do. And this is going to be some of the stuff that it can do for us. And this is nice. This is an overview. So at any point you could say, hey, tell me about, more about how we can do number 4, content inspiration and scheduling. But also I've equipped the bot with a bunch of prompts. Now, maybe some of you have seen all those prompts that are out there. People want to give you like 1,000 prompts. Well, I got the best few hundreds of business prompts as well as some custom prompts. And so now I can say, what are my prompt repository categories? And this is all going to make sense while we're doing this in a second. We're going to start to narrow in. And now, rather than just kind of like look in its regular knowledge source, it's looking at the ones that are going to be useful for me. So the first right off the bat was I created some custom categories of prompts for quick usage, the things that I want to do. So, if I was building this for someone else, I would talk to them about the things they use the most. But I also wanted to include some regular business stuff. So I thought that it would be fun today, because it's the theme. We're going to say, let's explore number 7. Okay. And now what it should do is look at number 7 and come up with all the potential prompts that are underneath. So we have like identifying the target audience. I kind of got that. Build a platform, offer a variety of services, highlight your expertise, provide excellent customer service, leverage AI-powered tools, continuously improve and innovate. So this is actually giving me even more interesting prompts. Some of them I didn't add. So I'm going to say, who are the most relevant influencers and thought leaders related to my business? Who are the most relevant influencers? Okay, so now again, it knows everything about me. So this could be a way for me to reach out. This isn't a social media class. That's going to be in a couple of weeks. But this is an opportunity for it to look at me again and then find. So this is funny. So sometimes Bing, which is what I really wanted it to do, I wanted it to search online. For some reason, sometimes Bing is not engaged. So I'm going to actually stop this. And what you can always do is, some people don't know this, you can come back to this little pencil and I'm going to say, give me, who are the most real world examples? And so hopefully use Bing to research the responses. Okay, Bing. Let's see if it does it. Okay, so now it's doing the research with Bing. Let's see if it's done its work. Okay, cool. So it's come up with some of the things, because I was just feeling very curious yesterday, I guess, and I just ran through some things. Can you find any examples of boutique, smaller scale agencies? So now it's looking again, it's doing its search. While it's doing that, I wanted to show you another thing, is that my buddy has a firm called the Creative AI Academy. And so what I could do now is, okay, great. So this has found some cool things that I could then look at. And, this one's even in India. This also is in India. Interesting, right? San Francisco. And I think I'd asked it for links. Oh, I didn't ask it for links, but I should have, and then it would include a link. So what I'm going to actually do is go back to those questions that I had before. I think that was like pretty nice. We had the specific prompts. Yeah, competitor analysis. Okay, so I'm going to take this prompt so this is one of the prompts that I kind of uploaded to give us resources. I'm going to go back to that, and I'm going to choose. I could choose one of these things if I wanted to. Usually I'd like to do a little bit of research. So actually what I'd like to do is take my buddy's firm and use that. Then he'd like that if I sent him this video. And I can literally paste in the URL. And so if Bing works correctly, what should happen is we go like this. It should know that it needs to go search both my knowledge database, but also Bing. And what it's going to do is completely crawl this website and all the pages for all the different things about that particular business. So it already knows. So again, like this would be, you could do this in a vanilla version of ChatGPT, but it's so easy. I just say conduct a competitor analysis. It knows everything about me already. So I can look at this and the results are going to be really cool because they can show you not only like your differences and they can show you where there potentially might even be some collaborative opportunities, right? So that's what's really, really neat about this. Okay, so we've done a SWOT analysis. We're now doing a SWOT analysis comparative, which directly generated from my knowledge sources that it has, as well as going to the website from Bing. And now I can say, I can start to get creative now. Like, so for example, I could say, considering all of that, how would you recommend my business positions itself in this rapidly changing sector? Okay, so let's see. Usually it works with spelling errors, but I'll just be neat here. So now it's going to start to look at all of what it's produced. It doesn't just look also at the previous Chat GPT, the new version, especially the paid version. Oh, look at this. I've never seen this work happen before. It's producing two responses at once. How cool. That must be a new feature. And like I say, everything's changing all the time. Wow. Okay. So look, it's actually going to give me a whole bunch. Customize solutions, broaden the target audience, leverage my expertise. This is leverage unique expertise, expand educational offerings. That's interesting. Innovate with AI tools. That's also interesting. Ultimately, if you're building, for me, AI tools, it doesn't really matter what the backend's built on. It might be ChatGPT. It might be one of these other ones. You're building something that's of higher value. Education's another example. Right now, what I'm doing with you guys, people will know most of this in the coming month, year, whatever. I'm going to have to up my educational game and continually stay on the edge, right? Partnerships and collaborations, that's a perfect example. Me and my buddy's firm have actually some shared interests, of course, but we have some really non-overlapping areas. So there could be some partnerships and collaborations there. How cool is all this? Look at all these great ideas, right? So what I could do now is let's explore. I'm going to just, do I click on this? I've never done this before. I guess I click on this. Okay, and there it goes. It now puts that as the response. But that was cool. I got some things from both of them. So now I could say something like this. This is where it's going to start to get pretty interesting. If it hasn't been already, I could ask it other questions too. I could say, can you give me some examples of valuable niche markets that I might want to explore that I haven't yet. Okay, so again, it's going to look back into who I'm serving currently, and it's going to hopefully give me some fresh ideas. Because ultimately, I used to work with like the most low budget clients because I would just take any work that I could get. And now I'm feeling like my offerings such that I can begin to really command a higher, consultancy fee. And that's great. But the more I know I niche and the more I choose my niche wisely, then my abilities to get paid in a sort of reliable way is going to increase greatly. And ultimately, that's what will be nice in today's economy. So it's actually showing me some interesting ideas. So healthcare and wellness, education technology, retail and e-commerce, sure. Financial technology, that's an interesting one. So, and that there's a lot of good money in financial technology. So if that was my goal, I might want to rope that in. So nonprofits, I've worked with a bunch in the past, but that might not be the most profitable. Some of them do have big budgets. Creative industries, that could be really valuable. I mean, it's come for a lot of our creative industries first in a lot of ways. So I'm thinking either creative industries or financial technology. So what I could do now is go back up here and say, I'd like to create an educational offering. I'd like to expand on my educational offerings and provide something for a new target audience, focused on the fintech space or creative industries. Let's do this. And we'll just say the fintech sector. All right, so now what we're beginning to get into is beginning to wrap up today's workshop because we're beginning to get into offers. All right, so now it's looking, because that's what we're going to focus on more next week. But I do want to show you, at least touch on this a little bit because it's really fascinating. I want to show you at least a little bit of what we're going to get into in future ones. So it's going to show me a few different ways that I could consult with the fintech companies. Let's see. And so fintech startup bootcamp, that's interesting because I'm a real into branding and things. And I have enough sort of technological things to get people started with all the website stuff. Customer experience, not as much my thing. AI insurance, not as much my thing. Data security, again, this was totally new stuff. It's not using my existing stuff to my existing resources as much. I could say maybe actually based on my skills, that could be another way of saying this. So let's see. So I'd like to expand educational offerings, surprise something new for blah, 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 focused on and based on my existing skill set. Let's see if this gets a little bit clearer. And I may well run into, by the way, I've shown you what a lot of the fun things that I've shown you already, but I may well run into my limit. You only allow 40 on the paid version using ChatGPT 4, which is really what allows you to do this much depth and also just use this tool in general. It basically, you get 40 prompts, you asking ChatGPT 40 every hour or two, something like that. So if I go too long or ask too many things, great, then it won't let me and I'll have to come back in an hour. But what I was going to say is, look at this. This is now actually looking a little bit more into some of my things. It's still getting into a couple of things that I don't. So it's actually provided a few things that I do, and then a few things that are a bit more idea driven, which I may want to expand into. So that's kind of cool. I do custom AI workflows design, and I do these number 1 and number 2. All right, so this is exciting. So now I can say, all right, let me see if I want what I want to do for my last little chunk of time here. I'm going to say, let's flesh out number 2. Let's flesh out the number 2 offering. Okay, and so now we're getting a little bit into like, business development, like with our existing skills, we're opening this up to potentially a new niche sector, and we're beginning to look at the first draft of what this would look like for a sales page almost, or what we can actually create a sales page from this. This would be kind of the internal team to look at and be like, hey, would this be valuable? Maybe talk to some potential clients. Be like, would this be valuable to you as a potential fintech startup? So intro, how to create inbound social media, content marketing, leveraging AI, email marketing, digital advertising, analytics, and performance. It doesn't even have talking about, making even a simple website, which would probably be great for this course, people that just want a good landing page. But what I would do is then say, this looks great. Obviously, this doesn't look great. This looks like a great first pass. And that's all what this is, by the way. All of what this is providing is a first pass for then humans to take, to edit, and then to refine. And then, obviously, one day it'll put it into websites. But for now, a lot of that is still hands-on. But for us, we can say, for this example, we can say, this looks great. If it didn't, we could take it out, edit it, and then take it back in. And let's say, this looks great. Can you put together a compelling sales page for this new offering that encourages people to, or I'll say the target audience, to get in touch for more information. Okay, so now we're going to ask that. And this is where it starts to get really, really cool. And we're going to now touch on a little bit of content creation. So I touched a little bit on creating offerings. Now we're going to touch a little bit on content creation, which is, this is a sales page. So it's got the title, a little subtitle. It's got the intro blurb, why this should take this, what sort of things you're going to get, who it's for, which is great, the highlights of the course. It should probably have the modules too. Sometimes it doesn't include them, which then we would kind of go up, and it's going to make up a few testimonials just as examples that then you could bring into, get from other previous clients and replace. And there's going to be also some other things that, and then, then you have the sign off, and there's going to be some other things that you want to add. So you might want to go back up here, and once you get that onto a web page, you might want to take these modules, develop those modules a little bit more, really make sure that they're broken up right. We could also do really boring stuff, things like, okay, can you provide a list of of FAQs that my target audience might want to know in order to feel comfortable that this is the right offering for them. Okay. So I'm going to change that. All right. So here we go. FAQs, if you haven't written them before, they're so boring to write. So this is a great start. That's going to come up. It's going to look at our target audience and actually directly address their pain points. And something that we can get into in my future sessions next week is going to be particularly good for this, is talking about target audience development, because that's another thing that can be really, really tedious. And for marketing companies to really look deeply into a target audience and create personas, and where you go over their issues and their challenges, their what they want, what their fears are and problems, what keeps them up at night, all that kind of stuff, right? And that also can really make for richer, even more rich sales pages and things. But for right now, look at this. This is a great starting point for an activity that is usually just so dull. So, all right. So I want you to write the sales page. So I got that. Also include the FAQ. I got that. So here's another fun thing before we open it up to before I finish up the presentation and then open it up to some questions. I want to show you something really cool. I'm going to say, this is great. Great. And you notice I'm always being nice to the AI. If they take over one day, hopefully they'll remember I've been polite. Can you create a simple illustrative image for this sales page, banner image, I'll say, for this sales page? I don't want it to include any text, which sometimes it still does. It really loves text. Sometimes it gets it right, often it doesn't. So I generally say, I don't want it to include text. We're going to try, see if it follows my instructions. And I'm going to say, this is important. Sometimes it's being extra, like, this is important. And feature let's see, like some currency and money related, I would say imagery or elements. And use my brand colors. Okay, so I've even to the brand bot uploaded my purples and beiges. And so now, hopefully what it's going to do is be able to write in here, just like it pulled up Bing, it can also pull up DALL-E, which is OpenAI's image creator, which now in the paid version is directly embedded in ChatGPT. You can even do this on your phone. By the way, speaking of on your phone, everything that we've done today could be done by voice. Obviously, that's not helpful for when you're doing sales pages and things like that. But even just talking to it as you're at the gym, talking about like your brand, coming up with ideas, talking about competitors, it'd be like an interactive podcast based on your company, right? So you can do it literally by voice when your phone's off. So how cool is that? And that's even on the free version. Of course, it wouldn't be your brand bot, but it's pretty neat. So, all right, cool. It did use my purple. It did sort of use my beige. It's not quite the banner perspective that I wanted. I wanted it to be wide. So what I could do is come back up here. Can you create a simple 16:9, for example, is the aspect ratio of a general, most phones or widescreen TVs. I'll put that aspect ratio, illustrative banner image for this sales page. Let's see if it gets it right this time. All right, so this is going to be the last thing. We're going to give it one more shot. We're going to see if it does it. And then I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the next steps. So it did make it banner. It did include this time the text, which as you can see, it made a little bit of mistake. And this is where sometimes working with a graphic designer is still awesome. And also wrestling DALL-E, you can do it a whole bunch and eventually you'll get something, or you can obviously go to stock image sites and things like that. But I did want to show you how cool it is that it's right in here. I have a few existing courses that I've mentioned. One's for the coaches and course instructors, and I'm going to send everybody a link to my courses, but it is just courses.projectfresh.com, which is we help you develop the program idea before you put it and validate it and get paid for it before you actually do the work. That's why that's important. Entrepreneurs and thought leaders, it's just really creating high quality, engaging content that you can schedule regularly. Again, we get into a lot of this stuff. That's actually it can almost be done. Any of these can be done a little bit more with the free version, although the paid version is always better. This definitely you want the paid version for. This was my book writing course. And these are all like, a couple $100 or something like that. And there's a 20% off code with the code webinar if you're interested in those. So But what I'm really excited to announce, and this is the first time I'm announcing it, is why would you want to use a brand bot for your business? Hopefully, we've explained some of that. You can create this assistant to save time, spark creativity, grow your business, and it's very, very low budget. And so I'm excited. My latest course that I just made the video for yesterday, and this fun graphic is me to help you create one of these custom brand bots for your own business, which I'm super excited to say. And so the modules are going to be basically, I'm going to run this through in 4 modules, hour-long modules. There's going to be a little bit of homework, obviously, but nothing crazy. And you can be up and running really within a week, even shorter if you're doing the videos. And so there's going to be 3 pre-recorded modules and a bonus module. This is going to be available starting January 23rd. There's going to be a live cohort, which currently the plan is noon on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and then a bonus one on the following Monday, starting on the 22nd. And then I actually got some interest in people who are like, hey, that's awesome. I don't want to do the work. I want you to do it for me. And so I made also a do it for me package, which is going to be me doing a few interviews with you, going away, doing the work, processing all the stuff, integrating it into the chatbot, and then training you on it. So the pricing for these are going to be $197 for the pre-recorded. And like I say, this is going to be so easy to do yourself. You're going to be able to do it even without me. The benefit of the cohort, which is going to be $397, is that we're going to get more into some of this custom stuff that we can do. And it's going to be a little bit more hand-holdy. We're going to have like feedback from the team and everybody who's on the call that they can actually, we can provide best practices. We may even do a follow-up if this is something people request. We could even potentially do a follow-up weekly meetup where we see how we're refining our brand bots and cool new use cases for them. Because I think that once you learn how to do this, you're going to realize how you can continue to refine it. And then obviously this takes a little bit more work, but this is going to be $997. I'm excited that I've got this for the next little chunk of time because you're on my webinar. So it's going to be 50% off all these things, which means this is going to be $99 for just the video course, $199 for the cohort, and then $799, not quite 50% off for that because that does take me a lot of work. And so you can actually use the code here, but also I'm going to send you this link. So if you got my text messages and emails, then you don't have to worry too much. But it's all at courses.projectfresh.com, and you can get this discount. If you have any questions about it, then now's a great time. I'm going to open the floor to questions. And also you can always get in touch with me at projectfresh.com. So on that note, I am going to come back to the Zoom and stop the screen share. And Philip, I see we've got an immediate question from you. So why don't you start? And then if anyone else has questions, we're going to move. And then Chris. So go ahead, Philip, and then Chris.
Yeah, a quickie. Throughout this exercise, you've been refining the information down, which means the sources that ChatGPT is drawing on are shrinking. Do you have a way of, or have you ever asked it where it is getting its primary information for its responses? Because what you're doing could be, Deloitte or McKinsey or somebody. Have you asked it to track that?
A lot of times with Bing, when it's searching the live internet, that is a way to search for where its sources are. It gives you little quotation marks, which I don't know if we saw today. I can't quite remember, but that's where you can click on it and see where the source is. Currently, I think that it's never actually stealing text. There's no plagiarism going on in directly the responses. It is trained on lots of copyrighted text, but what it produces is never verbatim at all. In fact, OpenAI has a fund, and they will, I think, even back you if you have any plagiarism. There's that what they're producing.
It's not a question of plagiarism. It's a question of following the Deloitte plus McKinsey blended technique.
Oh, I mean, I haven't asked that, but it would be fun for you if you end up jumping on this. It'd be fun to explore together, or even on your own with ChatGPT 4. But let's get to Chris because I want to be respectful of everybody's time. Chris, go ahead.
How big is your brand bot? How long did it take you? How many files or megabytes do you have in it?
Yeah, so it's like a handful of files. You can actually upload about 10 files. And so they're all like different themes, and they're kind of structured in a particular way that I had to work out formatting, but they're actually all just simple text files. And then the other portion of the attachments, besides the attachments, is the instructions. And that's how to deal with all the attachments. That's how to deal with kind of issues. For example, like there's a few things that And over the course, why I'm actually waiting until January to launch this, and I'm only doing the custom ones for clients right now, is because I'm still figuring out a few of these bugs and I'm refining the instructions. And that's kind of like the work in progress. If you actually have the paid version and want to do a custom GPT, I would recommend just starting with literally you can code it with just your instructions and sort of see how you can then play. Or like if you have like I had my books, I uploaded those as attachments to the knowledge sources and began to see how that was working. And that's what then prompted me to do the brand bot once I had enough knowledge. But obviously, the smaller the files, the quicker that turnaround goes when it's searching the knowledge.
Yeah,
Barry,
it looks like it's searching every time again for the entire knowledge, right?
yeah, that's a great question. And I don't know how it indexes it. There are premium chatbot creators that are usually much more expensive that you can have a lot more control over. So this is kind of an entry level for small companies, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs that want to like play with this at a pretty low barrier to entry, because it's also pretty easy to like, that's why I can hand this off in like a few modules. The custom chatbot solutions are all full on branch charts, and there's actually some often code involved. I would use that for enterprise clients. I would not give them a chat GPT, a custom GPT. I would not give this to a big company. I would create real niche custom bots for them, for their departments, forward fit internal for their departments or external for their customers, whether so like support, or marketing. Like, so whichever, right? Probably wouldn't use a custom GPT, but for right now, it's a great place to start. Barry, funny, you're not the Barry Carlin I thought you were. I know two Barry Carlins. Oh, you know it is, Barry. I didn't recognize you with your giant goatee. How's it going?
Hello again, Dougie.
Wow, your
Hey,
long hair. It's good to see
very,
you, pal.
very valuable, interesting information, and good to see your face. I missed you last Saturday night. Anyway, great information. I have two quick, simple questions.
Yeah.
One, what was the name of the AI image enhancer that you mentioned in the very beginning?
Yeah. Oh, look at a little friend behind you. Nice. Oh,
Yeah.
say hi.
One of my colleagues.
Got video bombed by the dog. So I was gonna say, so Dolly, which is DALL-E, is integrated into the paid version of ChatGPT. So for 20 bucks a month, you get to upload PDFs for analysis. You get to play with these custom chatbots. You get to, create images right there in the chat text. I think it's the best $20 you could spend, maybe besides Spotify, because I use Spotify every day a lot. But actually, I think hour by hour, maybe I ChatGPT more. So it's a great place to start. You can cancel after a month if you haven't used it. I started and stopped a few times until I realized how integral it was to my business. So what I would say about Dolly is it's getting better. It's still no match for the real premium image tools like Midjourney, which is actually really complicated to use, but now they're making a internet-based version. Before it was through a platform called Discord, which you had to be a bit of a geek to use. And there's other, if you just look, like, it depends on what you want. There's one for kids called Leonardo, which is super fun and creates amazing prompts or creates amazing images, and it recommends prompts. So there's definitely way better image creations than Dolly, but the fact that it's right in there has been really fun to create, and some of the chat GPTs out there, again, like for kids, I was with my nephew and we literally created a 12 chapter sci-fi story about an artist in a future where AI like governs everything. And it was like, a sort of revolutionary act to be an artist. And then as it told the story, we literally created an image for every chapter. And so it's just also pretty fun. I mean, besides being useful, it's pretty fun. So the number one thing that we can do with AI, it's to look at our businesses and be like, where are the pain points? Where are the parts that are taking me a lot of time? Where are the things that are just horrible to deal with, or I really need to pay someone to do? And that's the starting point, because once you can effectively communicate what those are, you can begin to get the prompts together, to get the framework together, to begin to interact with your best new assistant here, the chat GPT. So next week is going to be all about more deeply exploring the authoring. So we're going to really start to compare our target audience, all of our skills, our current offerings, look at new gaps in the market that we might not have considered, and then really flesh them out, as well as kind of like even just looking at our current skills and how we might be able to create new things that we haven't even offered yet. So on that note, I'm so grateful for everyone to join. It's good to see some of your faces after a long time, and looking forward to connecting again next week or in person soon. All right, everybody, take care.